Good afternoon, welcome back to the Rhineland Inn. My name is Rosario, I'm the sommelier here. Today we're talking about Bordeaux. So I'm going to tell you a couple things about the grapes, about the lay of the land, show you some great bottles that we have. First of all, Bordeaux has 5 red grapes that are allowed to be permitted to grow. Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Merlot, Malbec, and Petit Verdot. You also have some white grapes. You have Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, and Muscadel. We'll talk about those a little bit later. So then you have everyone, I'm sure you've heard the term left bank, right bank. What does that mean? Okay, left bank wines, pretty much all you have to know is the consumer are going to be dominated by Cabernet Sauvignon. Right bank, going to be dominated by Merlot. So some examples of left banks, you have Saint-Estèphe, you have Pauillac, you have Margaux. Those are some areas that are going to be Cabernet Sauvignon dominated. Right bank, you have Pomerol, you have Saint-Emilion, Merlot dominated wines. So next, after the grapes, I'm sure you've heard the term first growth, second growth, third growth. What does that mean? In 1855, the French laws, the AOC, they classified wineries or chateaus in Bordeaux region. Unfortunately, they didn't classify the entire Bordeaux region as a whole. They pretty much just classified the left bank, a lot of Pauillac, a lot in Grave, a lot in Margaux. So basically your first gross are your most expensive, and then your fifth gross will be less expensive than the first gross. The only problem is they haven't changed that since 1855, with the exception of one. Chateau Mouton Rothschild in 1973, after years and years and years of petitioning to be a first growth, is the only change that on the books to the 1855 classification, elevating this from second to first growth status. Fantastic wine, again, dominated by Cabernet Sauvignon, about 75% Cab. What's great about Mouton, they actually use a higher percentage of Petit Verdot than most of the first growths. They use roughly about 10% of Cabernet Franc in every vintage, a little bit less of the Petit Verdot. That Cabernet Franc gives it a little bit more of an herbaceous, herbal quality to it, gives it a little more aromatic nose, which is nice because a lot of these wines are just big powerhouse wines. It's nice to have a nice floral nose on a big wine like Chateau Mouton. Here we have probably one of the all-stars of our cellars, a 1982 Chateau Lafite Rothschild, 97 points, Robert Parker, so this is darn near perfect wine. This is aged beautifully. You can see right there, fill level's great. With Bordeaux, you kind of never really have to, if they're well made, you don't have to worry about them getting too old. I think the suggested age range for all these first growths is anywhere from 25 to 60 years. And you'll probably go longer than that if you sell them correctly. On your left bank, south of all these big red wine producers, we have the areas of Sauternes and we have the areas of Barsac. These areas produce generally sweet wines. You've probably heard of Chateau d'Yquem before. This is another first growth. This is actually got rated superior first growth, so better than all the other first growths was this wine right here. This is a 1995 Chateau d'Yquem. You see next to it we have something called Y. This is a dry wine made by Chateau d'Yquem. They don't make it every year. Basically they only make the sweet wine if it's perfect conditions every year. If not, they might go into a dry wine. So here's their 2010 Y by Chateau d'Yquem. A little something about, I said, a perfect year. So how do you make a sweet wine in Sauternes is something called noble rot. This is actually a mold, or Botrytis cinerea is the technical name, that lives in the vineyards. When the temperatures are just right, the humidity is just right, this mold comes alive, it attacks the grapes. What this mold feeds on is the water in the grapes. So that's what will concentrate the sugar. So now you take these mold-infected grapes, kind of looks like if you left some strawberries in your freezer or refrigerator for way too long, get some mold on it. That's not the good one. The good one is the one that attacks these grapes. Basically that concentrates the sugar. So now when you go into fermentation, the yeast actually convert the sugar to so much alcohol it kills themselves. They commit suicide because the alcohol kills the yeast. So you're left over with something called residual sugar. So residual sugar means a sweet wine. You're gonna have sugar in your wine. All these wines, little to zero residual sugar. That's why you can never really have a sweet wine if it's red. You might have sweet fruit characteristics, but there's no sugar, so it's not actually sweet. This one is actually sweet. You see it has a browner color to it. This color is indicative to a wine made with noble rot. See, same grapes, different color, larger bottle obviously because it's not sweet. You can drink more of it. Although Chateau d'Yquem, you could probably drink that all day as well. And I think that's it from Bordeaux lessons here at the Rhineland Inn.